back to Double Your Sales Now. I'm so excited because our special guest today is back. We have Sheryl Roush. Sheryl, I'm so excited to have you back. Thank you. We're going to have so much fun in our chat today, and I guarantee you're going to get a lot of nuggets. So take out a piece of paper and a pen and get ready, because Sheryl Roush and I are going to be talking about how to speak and market like a pro. And there's very few people on the planet who can teach and who live this on a regular basis. So if you're a speaker, you're gonna love this. If you have a business, you're gonna love this. Like, there's so much that Sheryl's gonna give you, so many nuggets, and she's got the coolest gift at the end. So you're gonna wanna listen all the way to the end. Before we get to her though, a couple of things. If you haven't yet, we would love a review on iTunes. It helps other people see that this podcast can resonate with them as well. So just go to iTunes, leave us a review, and then go to salescoachnow.com/giveaway, because when you paste your review in there as well, we send you some cool gifts. So all about one great goal and how to take your business to the next level. Also, if you haven't been to Virtual Sales Camp yet, we have a few seats left coming up. Email us at contact@salescoachnow.com, because as a podcast listener, you get a very special price. And I can tell you, as I've shared, we have made those classes a little bit smaller, so we get to really connect with you and help you shift and tweak your business. And the clients, they're telling us they're getting tremendous results. They're pivoting, they're taking their business to the next level. So please come and play with us. And with that, I'm so excited to introduce you to the very amazing Sheryl Roush. She's back. And I recommend going back and listening to the other interview, because we're going to talk about different things today. We're going to talk about what's timely, what's happening with the pandemic. Sheryl is CEO of Sparkle Presentations, Inc., which is based in one of my favorite cities in the world, right? San Diego. She's an internationally top-rated presenter with well over 3,500 presentations given around the globe. In the National Speakers Association, Sheryl received the Member of the Year award from both chapters in Southern California. That's so cool, Sheryl, for outstanding contributions to the speaking industry. As a coach and consultant, she helps individuals and businesses to speak and market like a pro. Makes sense. That's what we're talking about today, right? We're talking about what she does. We're talking about her brand and how she's taken her business to the next level, and she helps so many clients do it. Sheryl's also a 17-time published author and received the 2016 Author of Influence Award. Sheryl conducts live and virtual programs globally. Her presentations, you'll see, rekindle the spirit, raise the bar, and create excitement and lots of great energy. So with that, I just want to say, Sheryl, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Ursula. Boy, there's no time like now to double your sales. I love it.
Well, and Sheryl, that's been what we've been talking about, because people have been shocked to see, what a lot of our guests have been talking about. Some of our clients having their best months ever. I can tell you our business is growing, it's pivoting, it's expanding in really exciting ways that I never thought possible. Like, we're creating coaching programs that I never thought would have been possible, much less, leading with them in a pandemic. So for our listeners, now is the time. Like, this is the moment. And I think you're going to really get that from Sheryl today. So Sheryl, catch us up. Tell us what's been going on since we last heard from you, and kind of what's been going on in the pandemic for you.
My goodness. Thank you. Wow. And I believe that we all relate to this, that we are now, and we're not even yet in our new norm. We're still in quicksand is what it feels like. The most important thing for us to do is to keep our positive mindset, believe in what it is that we do and what it is that we have to offer. So it's interesting, because when this shifted, and it was right after my birthday, I had just thrown a birthday party with my closest 25 friends at my favorite Chinese restaurant and everything. 3 days later, California was shut down. So it was really interesting. It was, wow, love you, friends. Going to miss you already. Had no idea for how long that it would be. So with speaking engagements and international travel, the next month I was scheduled to speak, giving 3 or 4 different keynotes in the Philippines. And then let's see, I just come back from Bahrain. There's Canada, which the borders are now closed. And so I'm not traveling up to New Brunswick in November. So it's really interesting that when events canceled, they postponed, or they shifted to virtual presentations, that those of us who are serious about sticking with it, that we believe in what it is that we're doing, we have to believe and find the way in how can we do that. And pivot is the word. And however that we are creating that to be in our businesses. And I can share with you that coaching, consulting has dramatically increased. including that for my clients, they're looking for the how-tos of business now. What do I do now where my colleagues have lost serious monetary values, and with all the cancellations, how quickly can we pivot, believe in what it is that we do and how we deliver it, and help our clients then continue to solve problems and help our clients solve their own problems. So Ursula, one of the first things that I did, and it was already on my calendar to do in April, thank you, universe, was to update my virtual studio, starting to plan more virtual training sessions and everything. So I leveled up my entire virtual studio. You don't see it today, but I have 5 live sets. This is only one of them right here. I have a huge projection green screen behind me where I can totally customize for not only my backgrounds, video or photos, or I just did a huge program for a 1,000 employees the other day, and I did everything was in their branding so that they didn't even know I was an outside consultant. And then if I want to take it outside, I have a 200-foot Ethernet cable that can run from the router out into my backyard by the waterfall with the palm trees. So that was a level up, even though I've been doing virtual presentations on several different platforms for over 6 years. So this enabled me, it's all right, get serious, newer equipment, get better cameras. I can now do a 6-camera shoot with a switcher, and really do production type of events for myself and for my clients. I became a certified virtual presenter. And wow, so I think we need to be ready for the opportunities, that opportunity come to those who are prepared. And I was prepared. So a lot of opportunities I had never even imagined, and I'm able to say yes. So I hope that our listeners really prepare, whatever it is, clear out old stuff, get new stuff, get serious, take this seriously, and level up.
Yeah. So, you've just covered so much, and I just want to unpack that a little bit, because you have like someone might be listening to this or watching this and thinking, well, for Sheryl, it's easy. Like, she already had kind of had it set up. And I know that it wasn't easy. Like, I'm sure you had to do a lot of work to make it happen. I'm sure you had to, do a lot of things. So what would you say to an entrepreneur who's feeling super stuck right now? Like, they don't know what to do next. How could you help them see the way forward in this moment? And maybe they're in a different industry, or who knows? What would you say to them?
Wow. I would love to have a mentoring session with them so that I could help them unblock that. And again, it begins with the mindset. As an 8-time entrepreneur myself, I would say go back to your why. What's your why? What brought you to doing what it is that you've been doing? And maybe you took a little vacation, maybe a sabbatical, maybe you emotionally kind of checked out. I challenge you and support you to check back in, because your gifts you need to bring forth. And it doesn't serve anybody if you're not serving other people with what your gifts are. So as Ursula and I always agree on, it's the mindset. So it always starts with the mindset, and then brush up on your skill set and your tool set. When upgrading all of my equipment, yes, it was an investment, but one client, poof, everything's paid for. So, you have to invest in who you are and what you do. I had some mind blocks myself though, Ursula. In my inner dialogue, I had to really pay attention, because when things started happening and some of my colleagues did a really quick and huge pivot where they completely revamped 3 of their rooms in their houses. And I'm thinking, yeah, that's not me. For one thing, I'm thinking, okay, how can I make it me though? How can I scale it to me and be of service? Because it's not about the stuff. It's about what are the problems that we're solving. So one of my mind blocks was I had concern that I couldn't keep up fast enough, or that I'd be left behind, that, everybody else is doing that. Don't compare yourself to others too. Really listen to your own heart. And then I needed to trust myself that I would learn how to use the technology, that I researched everything before I purchased every gadget, every gizmo. I reached out to people who know more about those particular areas than I do. I reached out to professional videographers, looking at what's the light systems that I need to have, what's the microphone system. And then I took courses. I did some deep dives into training with masters on Zoom. So again, it starts with the mindset, then brush up on the skills. Listen to what your why is, revisit that. Because why are you doing what you're doing? Everything that I do for Speak and Market Like a Pro is to help people be able to do this for themselves, whether it's speaking or marketing or a combination of both. How can I help you reach your audiences? And that's what drives me, because I'm thinking in a time like this, that this is a great time to be a resource for other people and create information, whatever that looks like for them, whether it be finally write the book on your expertise, a giant business card, make it available as an ebook, get it out there for free. Learn what you need to know and believe that you can release whatever the blocks are, acknowledge them, yes, and plow through them, because people need you. They need what it is that you have to offer right now. Who do you know who can help you with things that you need to brush up on your skills? But you need to bust through those blocks and believe in yourself and get back to your why.
Yeah. That's a great reminder of getting back to the why, going back to the basics and thinking about what we're missing. And I think the pandemic has kind of provided this interesting pause in some ways, right? Like we're all, most of us at home, and, unless we're special, what's the word I'm trying to say? Unless we're in the police force or we're in hospital. I can't think of the term, right?
Essential.
Essential, yes. And they're very special, right? So unless we're in essential services. And so this time has just been this opportunity for us to really, pivot, reboot, like all the things that we talked about. And I don't know about you, but it sounds like very similar. Like I've never been in so much training. I'm finishing another book. Like there's just so many things that I've been able to work into my schedule, which has been really good. And what I'm curious about, so you said a couple things, and I'm taking lots of notes, Sheryl, because I'm like, we need to talk about this too. So just know this wasn't on your list. You've written 17 books, and you just said this would be a great time to write a book, or like so casually. So I want to go back to that though. Like, what's your secret? How did you write 17 books? I mean, what can you share with our audience about checking that box off our list?
Wow, thank you. This could be a whole segment just on this. The reason that I have written the books that I have, and I'm not finished, by the way, is that it's compelling to my purpose, because my personal mission statement is to make a positive impact on the planet before I depart. So there's actually probably another 60 or 70 that I would love to create. Wow. When I did my very first 5 books on marketing, graphic design, graphic communication, it was that I was being acknowledged by all the information that I had, and it was stored in my head. And I thought, I've got to get this out so that other people could use it, especially being an entrepreneur or a small business. You can't always afford to hire a large agency to do different campaigns for you. Then what if I could teach you in the course of a book that I designed every single page, so that if you ever needed a model of how to design something for yourself, you could copy that page design as opposed to releasing it over to a publishing house that would change everything. I designed every single element in those books. And I thought, this is going to be a value. Matter of fact, it's called Solid Gold, so Solid Gold newsletter design, which covers marketing. And I thought, I had to get it out of me. For one thing, it's like the law of vacuum, that by releasing something, it allows more space for something else to come in. And I thought, if I just keep this information to myself, it's not helping anybody. And I wish that there had been resources like what I created that were around when I was doing this. There weren't. So again, find the need and fill it. What is it that people tell you all the time that, oh my gosh, you're so good about? Or I think, wow, I've got this situation. What would Ursula do? Then what are the things that people are saying you're so good at? You need to put those into some type of form that other people can access. So a book right now, it's never been easier. And I came from the publishing industry where, you know, when I would, you know, print a book or Borders, remember them, when they would order a copy of one of my titles, that they would order 5,000 books at a time that I paid for printing, shipped from the warehouse or from the printer, you know, directly to them. And at one time, Borders ordered 2 different titles at the same time, Heart of a Mother and Heart of a Woman simultaneously. So, now it's easier because you can do a lot of this yourself. You can hire a book coach to work with you. Whatever you decide to do, get the information out of you. That's your why. Put it into a what and a how to serve the who. God, that was good. That was really good. That was really good.
Yeah. You might need to go back to that. We might need to keep this there. So
hashtag.
Yeah. Well, that's incredible. And Heart of a Mother, of course, spoke to me, and Sheryl gave me an autographed copy and was predicting the coming of my son before he was born. So that was a very special moment, and I treasure that. So thank you. And it's cool because you have so many different books and you come from so many different angles, and you're so great at like letting the manifestations come through. Like I think a lot of people get the divine downloads and then they get kind of stuck, but you're just great at getting them out there, and you have to trust more there.
Yes, you have to trust that divine download. So for instance, there's 12 books in the Heart Book series. And then it's like they make themselves known to me. Pay attention to what the universe is telling you and follow that without doubt. And I'll share with you too that none of the books that I've created have taken any longer than 8 weeks from concept to press.
Wow.
So if you're deliberating over it, maybe you're too much in your head and not in your heart.
Yeah. Well, and if that's you, yes, there's so many that are going to want to chat with you after this time. Okay, so the other thing is, I'm going to rewind a little bit. You talked about the books, and you also talked about, like, offhand, you know, all the places you've spoken internationally. Like you just kind of rattle that off like it's just another walk in the park. I can't tell you how many speakers, right, would, you know, give you their whatever. I mean, their house, their firstborn, their phone, like they just want to speak internationally. So can you tell us a little bit about that journey? I mean, I know it was hard work and, you know, focus, and you did all the things to be a great speaker. And at some point you must have said, I want to speak internationally. Like, how did you manifest that?
Well, Ursula, it goes back to my personal mission statement to make a positive global impact. When I wrote that and I put it on the wall for me to consistently see, I had no idea it might mean traveling the globe. I honestly didn't. I just thought, oh, this is what I'm committed to. And everything aligned to it. So today, gosh, let's see, 13 countries so far, many of them several times over. You need to have your content. You definitely do. Great presentation skills and a passport that has at least more than 6 months before the expiration on it. So even though right now, many of the borders are closed and we're dealing with this pandemic pause, that doesn't mean you still can't be virtual and global simultaneously. Again, you have all the platforms at your fingertips. Just like publishing right now, there's never been an easier time to connect with people on the other side of the world. Wow, this is probably the most or the best opportunity that we've ever had to be truly connected as a human race. So even though we may be physically separated and honoring that, we really need to stay globally connected through the means that we have. And that all relates back to business too, because it's interesting in my quiet moments, I think who's in pain right now? Who has a block? And this happened just a couple of other days ago. And I reached out and said, hey, how are you doing, girlfriend? You know, do you want to chat? And she says, oh my gosh, you know, so we had a conversation. I had no idea her father had just passed. She's going through a divorce, and that she was not processing the feelings. And it's like, wow, who do we need to reach out to? And if your skills are counseling or therapy, coaching, consulting, pay attention to what's going on around you and with your loved ones. And is there a resource? Is there a small group training program that you can create? Is there a virtual online training that you can create? Can you have a think tank, a mastermind, just conversation? You know, to help everybody through this, and be there for people, not even with the purpose of selling, but serving instead, and come from your heart, and watch the opportunities that avail themselves. Just pay attention, be alert, and really listen with your heart.
Yeah, right. I mean, I think you and I are both huge advocates of mental health and just really staying on top of that right now. And, so for anyone who's listening, if that's a thing for you right now, please reach out to someone who can support you and help you. And, in my own family, we have tons of depression, we have suicide, we have, lots of things that have happened. And so as a family, we really try hard to stay on top of it. And, and I have a lot of resources, you have a lot of resources, Sheryl. So I think of people who are out there, like if you're feeling it, and I know I've had kind of, some days during this time where,
hello.
right?
Yeah, we're human.
Yeah, where we felt very alone, or just like what's happening, or we just can't see the way forward, which can be very unsettling. So just know that whatever you're feeling is normal. And Sheryl, you made a great example of just sometimes just be able to say it out loud and process it is really, really empowering. And so many organizations that are out there that can help you. In the business world, I mean, I can't say enough great things about SCORE, the Small Business Development Center, the SBA, and their counseling is free. And so, it's business counseling, but I'm sure they listen to all kinds of things that come up for people who are in the business world. So definitely reach out.
And in the business world, if you're still on hire with your job, take advantage of your confidential counseling through your, because you have that available to you. Let's see, it's called, oh boy, it's 3 letters. It starts with an E. Anyway, that you have your employee EAP. Employee assistance program, because your organization, your company pays for that, and it's completely confidential. Reach out. You're not alone in this. We are all in this together. So let's help each other through it.
Yeah. And speaking of international, I want to give a shout out to our international clients. We have we have listeners, I should say our listeners for the podcast, in almost 100 countries now. So, Sheryl, there might be some out there who would love to have you come and speak virtually right now to your organization as well.
You got it. Yeah, especially topics on attitude, mindset, communication, speaking skills. Allow me to serve you. Thank you.
Awesome. And so on that note, so we're going to have you talk about, I know you have specific strategies you want to share, but before we do that, I want to take a peek into your own business, Sheryl. What are the top marketing strategies or sales strategies that you've shifted into, or that you've pivoted into, or that you see are working right now that maybe weren't working before, that are just more effective?
Wow, great question. And there's 2 that immediately come to mind. First is I'm taking my social media more seriously. I am keeping it real. I always have. I'm continuing to do that. I keep it positive, and I let people know what it is that I'm doing. So people need to see that, yes, we are human. And so, for instance, I'll be posting about this interview so that people can go, oh my gosh, especially since they want to hear the messages from your episodes. So I continue to post on Facebook. I upgraded, completely revamped my LinkedIn. There's no time like now to take LinkedIn more seriously. Let people know what it is that you're doing, create conversations, the opportunities, and continue to attract more of the same. So really looking at my social media and maximizing it, or being more strategic with it, yet still staying human. So it's not like I'm a marketing machine. The second thing, and this is really interesting, Ursula, one of the coaches that I hired to work with really brought this to my attention, because most of us are on Zoom now. It's just exponential for us being on the Zoom platform internationally. So the first tip is really know how to use your Zoom, and don't just keep it for your meetings and for your webinars. What I learned from my coach is consider having client contact using Zoom, not email. And even better than phone is set up a Zoom meeting, especially to close the deal. That made a huge difference immediately, just by a pivot in how I was using the platform. Deals are closing because it's more face-to-face. And it can be, I mean, gosh, training out of Toronto, Ontario, Canada, so setting things up for speaker bureau training kind of thing. It's like, wow, had I just replied to that on email, that wouldn't be happening. If it had been a phone call, there's all kinds of miscommunication that could happen. But when we put it on Zoom and that there's an energy exchange, wow, close the deal, you know, and it's
Awesome.
all keeping it real, being authentic, and connecting to the best ability that you possibly can. Those two things, really looking at social media and utilizing Zoom or other platforms for really connecting with clients.
Well, I think that's a great reminder too, that we might think we know Zoom, but I know you hired a Zoom coach, you hired a consultant who could really help you dive in and think of different ways to use it. And this is the time to really get to know the technology and all the ways to use it. And that makes so much sense. I mean, it might be easier to throw a conference line out there. It might be easier just to jump on the phone, but you're right. Like having that, there's nothing like that face-to-face, and we don't have traditional face-to-face in this moment. So this is the best. And there is, you know, statistically, we only can focus for 7 minutes on Zoom, which I find very interesting, unless there's activity or other things going on that'll kind of shake us out of it. What I find interesting about that though, too, is in the training that we're doing, in the connections we've had like this, because there's something also more intense about Zoom, right? And they've also done some studies on, we have to watch ourselves, right? Normally when we're having a conversation, I can't see my own face, thank goodness, right? Like you're not constantly in your own face. And so that's been interesting, just watching ourselves, right? But also it forces us to have a different kind of connection. Like I think if we're more aware, we're better listeners. Like I just think it's a different connection now, which I'm really enjoying. I think it's better in some ways.
It's now, and in respect to our introverts who may go, oh, no. I'm going to turn off my video. You're not going to, you know, sure, we can have this Zoom meeting, but you're not going to be seeing me. Then, wow. So I encourage you to stretch outside of your comfort zone. 7 minutes is the window, because typically the adult learning theory is every 5 to 7 minutes that we need to shift and do some type of engagement or conversation. That's why we have polls, we have surveys, we have annotations, we can go into breakout rooms with whiteboards and everything else, and really have a great experience. And whatever it is that we're doing, whether speaking or marketing, we need to create the experience, because that's too why people purchase from us, is that it's not just the information, it's the experience of, and how can I use this? So we want to take advantage of everything that's at our fingertips. If you've been shy, for our listeners, our viewers now, if you've been a bit shy about not showing up really on any of the virtual platforms, I challenge you and encourage you to do that. See what's in your background, have a good light, even if it's the tiny little lights, have a good camera, and keep breathing, and watch the positive results for having done so.
Yeah.
Build up your confidence. Yep.
Yeah. I tend to have a processing face, I've learned, where other people call it other things, but I call it my processing face, where I'm deep in thought. And so I've had to remember to smile a lot more. So it's been a good lesson, and it actually makes me feel good. So we'll take that. I want to make sure we save time for your area of expertise. We know that you're an expert in both speaking and marketing. That's a rare combo where people know how to do both really well. So I'd love it, Sheryl, if you would share some of your amazing tips with our listeners.
Wow. Whether it be speaking and marketing, and as I view them, they are parallel. So everything that we do in speaking is a parallel to what we do in marketing, and vice versa. So for instance, one of the tips that I'll share with you, that when you're thinking about your marketing campaign, or if you need to prepare a presentation, whether it be a debrief that you're submitting during your next Zoom meeting or whatever, is first of all, and Stephen Covey made it famous with the second habit, is begin with the end in mind. Same thing in marketing as it is in speaking. Begin with the end in mind. As a result of this particular marketing campaign, or if you're creating a graphic or an image in Canva to put up onto your Facebook or in your blog articles, whatever that it might be, begin with the end in mind. How are you going to be ending this particular message? And everything else needs to support it. So what that looks like in marketing and speaking, begin with the end in mind, build backward toward the opening. Never write a speech title first, because you're held to it and it squelches all the creativity. The title or the premise of the presentation will bubble up, and pay attention to the magic as that happens. when in speaking and marketing, then what are the things which will support that close? Let's apply it to sales. Based on that, you want them to take action on this. What are the things which need to occur above it to support that closing? And then you create what I call a circle back. So however it is that you're ending with your call to action, that needs to be planted as a seed in the opening of your messaging, whether it be speaking or in marketing. We need consistency as human beings. Things need to make sense to us and logical. So you craft things backward, bottom up, begin with the end in mind, yet as you deliver it, then it's top down, and then circle back in both of those. Then it's a complete message that you're handing to your viewer, your listener, your reader, however that it might be. That's a perfect parallel from speaking and marketing.
Yeah. So when you begin with the end in mind, so if it's a speech, it's what you want the audience to walk away with. If it's a program or a marketing copy that you're writing, so it's the call to action that you want them to do, and then you work backwards from that. Okay.
Yes, it could also be, what is it that you want them to think, do, feel differently? There's 26 different openers and closers, by the way, so there's 26 different ones. That call to action is one of the most dominant ones, and especially as it works with sales. So one of my favorite openings then is to name the pain in the form of a question, and that's what you actually open with. And that as you go through what your process is, how you provide the solutions to those particular problems, and that's your call to action. So it could be, say for instance, that you're scared to speak in public. One of the questions just off the top of my mind might be, are you scared to death to show your face on Zoom? Question mark. You know? And it might be a second question, but you really have to, or you could get fired. Second question. Third question, you know, so it could be, and those are lighthearted. However, it could be, what's the pain that your potential client, your audience, your listener, your boss, your coworkers, what's the particular pain? And you hand it back to them in the form of questions. Then the rest of your presentation goes into answering those questions and how what you have to offer is the solution to those.
That's excellent. Wow. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us.
That's a whole speech. That's a whole little,
for our
there you go.
Awesome information to just work through and take some time. And it's probably a show that you want to listen to again. So with that, Sheryl, I know you have something very special for our listeners, and we've covered a lot of ground. So some of them are probably thinking, wow, I'd love to hear more of this, or I'd love to know more about this. So tell us about the special gift you have for our listeners who want more from you.
Thank you. For your listeners. Wow. It's a mentoring session with me. So if you are blocked, if you are stuck, and we'll put the web link into the show notes here, so because you can go to speakandmarketlikeapro.com and sign up for a complimentary mentoring session. The value is $500. It could, though, however, be priceless for you. And it's a laser focused session where I take a look at who you are, your website. I get a feel intuitively for you, and then I'll ask you a few questions. It's no fluff. It's laser focused to help you bust through some of that stuff. And I'm here to help support and encourage you too. So in addition to how-tos, then you also get hope.
Yeah, that's awesome. And the link will be in the show notes. And you know, it's worth way more than $500 because it's free, but the value is incredible because you make a couple of changes and you land one client, or some other thing shifts for you. It can have such a domino effect in your business. So definitely take advantage of that support right now from Sheryl. She's amazing. We've been in each other's circles for many, many, many years, and it's just been such a pleasure. So Sheryl, where can everyone connect with you? So some of our international listeners, they might want to book you for a virtual event right now, or in the US, there might be someone that wants to connect with you for other reasons or for their group. Where's the best place to find you?
Thank you. And it'll be my honor to serve you. Go to SherylRoush.com, SherylRoush.com. You can take a look at sample videos there. You can reach out to me. We can do standing keynotes. We can do full events. I've also done what I call conversations from the couch.
Ooh.
So there are programs that I do that are virtual that are not a webinar, you know, that they really are conversations from my couch, and it's a beautiful set as well. If you're interested in more tips on Speak and Market Like a Pro, we can do webinars, we can do meetings, virtual trainings, on-sites, and highly tailored. Everything that I do is tailored for your particular group and your objectives. And this supports my mission to serve you, to again raise the bar and create excitement and create a positive impact on the planet. So thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to serve you.
Yeah, that's awesome, Sheryl. And I want to give you one last chance. I know this, just because we're in this very interesting time, just some final words of encouragement, some sparkle for our listeners before we wrap up.
Well, keep finding your joy. It's real easy to find all kinds of things that are negative, you know, do a pattern interrupt on yourself, shift to find something that makes you happy, that sparks your joy, connect with nature, connect with other people, know that you are loved, know that you are needed, you are essential.
Beautiful. Oh, what a perfect way to end. Sheryl Roush, thanks for coming back. We love you. We wish you all the best and the success in the world as you help so many people, which gives the domino effect out into the entire world. And our listeners all over the world. And we appreciate you so much, our listeners in the States. And just, it's so great to hear from you. If there's a topic you would like to hear, email me at contact@salescoachnow.com. Or if there's any way we can support you, please reach out to us or come and play at our next virtual sales camp. That's it for now, everybody. Take care and make this your most epic week yet.